Let's get more reaction now. We're joined by South African Union of Students spokesperson, Thato Masekoa, who joins us for reaction. Thato, good evening to you. Thank you for your time. The reaction to the breaking news, this piece of the amendment to the legislation withdrawn by the Trade Minister.
No, thank you for having us, Naledi, and good evening to all the viewers of Newzroom Afrika. Look, the South African Union of Students welcomes the withdrawal, as we have indicated before, that this was an unjust, unprogressive, anti-poor and anti-working class, because the act seeked to keep young people, students in particular, young professionals, in debts before they could even start. But overall, and I think, over 20,000 is an undercut, because I think young people across the country and students in particular have mobilized themselves in order to reject this proposal. But what it also says to us is that young people are worried about themselves and, in fact, about the future that they're about to have. It will, in fact, have a government at a time will, of course, propose an anti-progressive proposals which might seek to entrench poverty deeper to those who are already poor, the working class, those who are still thriving or trying to change situations and circumstances, as in like from where they are coming from. We welcome this with both hands, but what we want to also urge is that continuous engagement must be the order of the day, because solutions are currently found within the youth. But what we also want to urge is to, in fact, look into removal of the historic debts, because you still find young people in institutions of higher learning whom have finished their degrees but still cannot have access to job opportunities because institutions are withholding their degrees because they are still owing. But moreover is to show that in South Africa, the gap is still vast, but people are looking for opportunities to take in spaces in the job sector, to participate in the economy. But the only problem that you find that is inhibiting all of these people is funding. And as you could have seen, the fear of being trapped in a debt before you could even start working is what is a problem to young people, because we want young people to actively participate in the economy. We believe that the future does not belong to anyone but is now. And if you are about to get out of university without a degree, while at that you're expected to find a job, and at the job interview, before they shortlist you, they need you to have a qualification in order to prove that in fact you've got that degree. While you cannot get that degree because you owe the institution. These are some of the main challenges that young people across the countries are facing. And you would have seen about this overwhelming rejection of this act. And that is, in fact, what young people are saying, that we cannot allow a situation where we are trapped in debt before we could even start a professional life.
Yeah, the minister in that statement saying 20,000 submissions to that period for public comment. And in fact, the deadline for all of that being tomorrow. So you're right, it's certainly overwhelming. I do want to get into this, though. Before we saw the withdrawal, you would have heard the department as well as the minister arguing that what this amendment in fact wanted to do was to stimulate funding that goes to small and medium enterprises. I don't know what you made of that position that they had taken before this announcement.
Look, in as far as that is concerned, because what we took from ourselves is that the department was not necessarily responding to the cries of young people in particular, because and I think I've seen the statement from Minister Pakstow trying to clarify what he intended to mean, and that the shifting the blame. And we kept on emphasizing that, be that as it may, that might be the cause. Our problem in this regard is that there is no one who wants to start up a life on a debt. And I mean life because at least after you being a student, you then stop being dependent on at least your parents or your bursary, and you start depending on yourself. And when that is the case, you cannot start on a negative 25 while everybody else is starting on a 0.
Did the South African Union of Students make a submission?
Yes, no, we did. We did make a submission, and what we also did is that we also because the South African Union work with SRCs across the country, requested that students across campuses must mobilize themselves throughout their various communities to reject the submission by the department, and we have seen that overwhelmingly. But what we have also noted is how students react to their future. I think what must be taken is that young people in this generation are considerate of their future and want to ensure that there is no problems that they are going to face in the future. But what they want to do is to actively participate in the economy in the times to come. Not that they must fold hands. And I think if things are the way they are, how young people has managed to mobilize each other across campuses, across political affiliations, in the sector at large, this is a positive result from our side, because it means that people are wary of their future and want to fully form part of it without leaving any chance.
One party that's spoken out, of course, is the EFF. And not only have they been speaking out against the draft credit regulations, but they have also put on the table, and are looking at making this something that they submit to Parliament. In fact, they've opened up public submissions until the 15th of September. But this is for what they've called the Student Debt Relief Bill, as a solution that they would want to see a mechanism in place that would have student debt, in fact, cancelled. What do you make of that piece of proposed legislation by the party?
We just, in fact, came from our conference in the Northern Cape, which took a resolution that we support all calls that seek to diminish student debt, because we see student debt as one of the biggest barriers to young people in as far as opportunities are concerned. And of course, we have seen that, and I think it's a progressive move by the party, because it speaks to what young people are looking for. It speaks of what young people are crying about every single day across campuses, that we have finished our degrees, but we cannot have our degrees because we've got historic debts and institutions are withholding. Moreover, what is more devastating is even students who are funded by NSFAS find themselves not having these degrees while they've finished their degrees. And when you ask NSFAS, it dilly-dallies around issues of funding. And institutions and NSFAS have equally known those students have been NSFAS funded for the entire time. So one of the critical issues that affect young people in the country, in as far as the current economy or academic year is concerned, is around historic debt. And any measure that seeks to support our call for the removal or eradication of the historic debt will find us in support of that particular chart.
Yeah, well, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for speaking to us. That the spokesperson for the South African Union of Students, Thato Masekoa, responding, of course, to Parks Tau, the Trade Minister, withdrawing that amendment to the National Credit Act.